Hello, Vicky,
Hi, Tara.
and hello to everybody. So today for our power burst, we have a question for you. Do we need to know the why? So often we as humans want to know why. And, this is, really interesting question because as we'll kind of talk about in our power burst today in solution focused, the why question is not a question that's asked. And we want to kind of share some ideas with you around perhaps why we don't need to ask or need to know the why. Vicky, over to you.
Thanks, Tara. Yeah, Tara and I were just talking, and I was mentioning to her that two of the topics that have really surfaced for me this past month are the whole issue around students not wanting to attend school, and then as well, students not wanting to do their homework. And what I get is a lot of questions from teachers and from parents. Why don't they want to? Why? I want to get to the bottom of this. I want to try to understand the why. And as Tara said, in solution focus, we don't really need to know the why. We want to find out the motivation, but that can be an entirely different conversation. So, for example, what I really want to ask the student who isn't attending or the student who isn't doing their homework is, what will be different for you when you do go to school and it's a happier place for you, when you feel better at school? What will be different? How will you know? Right. So, what I want to understand is really, what does the student need and want? What do they need and want? That's the conversation I want to have. And the reality is that by having that conversation, the student is more open to talk, right? If I go right to that why place, then usually what we see is students shutting down, not wanting to talk, feeling defensive, saying, how quickly can I get this adult off my back? And so that's not going to help us at all. Usually, when we ask, what would you like instead? Right? We end up having a situation whereby the student is very willing to talk and very willing to have this kind of conversation because they know there is not going to be any type of judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tara?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just love everything that you said. And, and I think that's what I experience as well, and that we can get stuck, in the why, and actually it's how does exploring the why help us to move forward? Another question, it's asking, well, what do you want instead? Or, has there been times when you felt able to come into school?
Right.
Well, what was different then?
Yeah.
So being curious and asking sort of explorative questions is really important. But when we focus on, well, what's wanted, as you've said, and then let's think about the times when you have been able to come in, then the difference, as you say, in how children and young people engage in that is huge. But also sometimes we just don't know why. And I think we were talking about earlier, I've had young people say I haven't, asked for any support before, when they've come into sort of one-to-one sessions because I didn't know why I felt like this. And, on paper, my life's like really good. And I don't
Mhm.
know why I feel like this. So, and it's like, well, we don't necessarily need to know the why.
No. But sometimes by talking about what they want, they're able in the moment to process the why,
Yeah.
or they're able to process the why after the conversation. Or, sometimes they're able to tell us in the moment. So we can find out the why sometimes, but and not even ask the question. just because the questions that we're asking, which are very productive in nature, really spark that opportunity for the individual to understand what it is that they're going through.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll say to young people, you don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to.
That's right.
You just tell me what I'm hoping for to be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank
Thank you.
this has been a great
Thank you
conversation.
to you, Tara. Thank you to all our listeners. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Take care.